7 strange awakening triggers only the darkest chosen ones experience. Have you ever felt like your awakening didn't come from the light but from the collapse? From the darkness so deep, so silent that no light dared enter it at all? If you have, then you already know there are levels to awakening that the world doesn't talk about. And some of us, the darkest chosen ones, were not triggered by gentle meditations or by reading sacred scriptures in peace. No, we are awakened by chaos, by rupture, by silence so loud it feels like the universe itself went deaf. We don't ascend through angels, we descend through shadows, because there are initiations that only come when your soul chooses to awaken through the most unconventional and sometimes terrifying triggers. And if you've been wondering why your path felt strange, intense, lonely, even violent, you're not broken. You're being reconstructed. So let's begin. The first strange awakening trigger is being betrayed by everyone you trusted. It doesn't sound mystical, but it is. Betrayal isn't just a wound. For the dark chosen, it's the first cracking of the illusion. Because when you're betrayed deeply by a parent, a friend, a lover, it's like the fabric of the narrative you've clung to is ripped wide open. You start questioning everything. Why did they lie? Who am I without them? Why does love hurt? And that questioning spirals you into the void. That's where the real work begins. Not just grieving people, but grieving versions of yourself that were built for someone else's comfort. The betrayal becomes a sacred poison. And once you drink it, you never see the world the same. It doesn't make you bitter. It makes you aware, so aware that even your senses shift. That was never just heartbreak. It was the sacred severance ritual. And the ones who walk through it, eyes wide open, step into a kind of clarity that can't be taught.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The second trigger, hearing silence louder than sound. This is not metaphor. Many dark chosen ones report a strange moment in their life, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes in the middle of a crowd where everything suddenly goes quiet. Not peaceful, eerily quiet. And in that silence something starts speaking. But it doesn't speak in words. It speaks in pressure, in vibration, in sensation. Some think they're going crazy, but that silence is an invitation. It's the collapse of the external noise so the internal codes can emerge. Silence for the dark chosen isn't absence, it's arrival. It's the voice of source stripped of all human language. Most people avoid that silence, but the ones who hear it and stay activate a deeper sensory channel. It's almost alien. It's what some call the black frequency. And once you hear it, you can never unhear it again. The third strange trigger is time distortion. This usually starts slowly. Maybe you lose track of time constantly. Maybe your memories become unclear like scenes from another life. But then it escalates. You begin to feel time folding in on itself. You remember things you shouldn't. You predict things before they happen. You walk into places and feel like you've been there in dreams. The dark chosen ones are not bound by linear timelines. Our awakening includes disorientation for a reason. The matrix runs on time. But the awakening collapses time. That's why you feel like your childhood happened yesterday or last lifetime. Time distortion is not a bug. It's a sign that you're slipping through the walls of programmed perception. And when that happens, you start remembering who you were before time named you. The fourth trigger is a deep, inexplicable disgust for surface-level reality. One day, it just hits. You can't stand small talk. Parties feel fake. Shopping makes you nauseous. You start seeing through smiles, through words, through systems. And at first, you think you're just becoming cynical. But you're not. You're becoming tuned. You're no longer hypnotized. The simulation loses its glamour. The culture loses its grip. and you begin to mourn a world that everyone else still worships. That grief isn't weakness. It's your vision sharpening. It's the moment your third eye doesn't just open, it cracks. And everything artificial is suddenly unbearable, because the dark chosen ones don't live in illusions. We burn them down by refusing to participate in them. The fifth awakening trigger is emotional anesthesia. You stop feeling, not just sadness. You stop feeling joy, laughter, excitement. And this scares you. You wonder if you're dying inside. But this is not death. It's the sacred pause. When the soul retreats so the false self can dissolve, your emotions in that period go dark, not because you're broken, but because your body is rebooting. Like a shamanic blackout, you feel like a ghost watching your life, and that's exactly what's happening. The ego self is panicking, but the soul is watching, waiting, reprogramming. This is often when the final rupture begins. Old identities don't just fall off, they disintegrate. And when your feeling comes back, it's different, sharper, cleaner, pure. The emotional anesthesia is how your soul creates an energetic, clean slate. The sixth trigger is the obsession with death, not in a suicidal sense, but death becomes magnetic. You read about it, dream about it, you sense spirits, you walk into rooms and feel the presence of those who passed. And this isn't pathology, it's preparation. The dark chosen ones are midwives of death, of paradigms, of identities, of the collective illusion. We don't just fear the end, we escort it. That's why the obsession grows. Death becomes a mirror, a reminder that this life is brief, and this mission is sacred. And in some cases, you'll experience ego death so real, it feels like your entire being was wiped out, because it was, and something far older was awakened in its place. The seventh trigger, the strangest of all, unexplainable encounters, not with people, with forces. You're walking and feel watched, but lovingly. You speak and feel your voice layered with something more ancient. You see numbers, symbols, synchronicities that defy logic. You wake up and feel touched. You dream of codes, entities, geometries. You're not imagining it. You're interfacing with your origin. This dimension begins to thin, and something bleeds through. It's not random, it's memory. You're remembering your pre-human contracts, your non-linear existence, your cosmic history. And if you don't run from these experiences, if you stay, you start becoming more than human. You become a bridge. And if you're still here, listening, watching, absorbing every word, then maybe you've already passed through one or all of these triggers. Maybe your strange life was never strange. Maybe it was coded. But the real question is, what are you going to do with the truth now that it's awake in you? The silent initiation, what the world will never understand about your awakening. You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet gap between who you used to be and who you're becoming. The phase where everything around you looks the same, but nothing feels the same. You're breathing, moving, smiling maybe, but inside, something massive is unfolding. And the world? It doesn't see it. Not your friends, not your family, maybe not even your partner. And that is the first secret of the dark chosen one's path. Your awakening will not be understood. Not because it's not real, but because it's invisible to those still sleeping. This is the silent initiation. The phase where no one claps for you, no one rewards you, no one even knows what you're enduring. You're walking through spiritual surgery with a smile on your face, bleeding on the inside, and still showing up to life. And deep down, a part of you asks, does anyone see what I'm carrying? But here's the truth, they're not meant to see it. This isn't a show. It's a sacred metamorphosis. Caterpillars dissolve in the cocoon before they fly. They don't send out invitations. Neither should you. So let me ask you something that might sting. Are you still trying to be seen during your invisibility phase? Because if you are, you're leaking your power. The moment you stop seeking validation for your awakening is the moment you step fully into your own orbit. This is one of the great paradoxes of the path. Awakening makes you more sensitive and more sovereign at the same time. And that's why most people won't understand you anymore. You start sensing lies under smiles. You feel the distortion in everyday conversations. Even laughter, if it's not rooted in truth, starts to feel like static. You become allergic to shallow living. You may find yourself pulling away, quietly, without needing to explain. That's not arrogance. That's clarity. You're not abandoning people. You're simply no longer pretending. The silent initiation is marked by this emotional detachment, not out of coldness, but out of energetic refinement. You've tasted something ancient, something deep, and you can't untaste it. So when the world asks you to be who you were, to shrink back into your former version, your nervous system rebels. It knows, it remembers, and it won't let you go back. Some call this phase depression, but I want you to see it differently. What if it's spiritual detox? What if your sadness isn't brokenness, but sacred disidentification? You're letting go of the roles, masks, identities that you were never truly aligned with. Of course it hurts. It's the grief of false self-dying. But underneath that grief is liberation. You just don't recognize it yet because your nervous system still equates survival with approval. But approval won't save you. Only alignment will. During this stage, your dreams may intensify. You'll see old lovers, childhood homes, symbols from forgotten memories. You might wake up crying or shaking. These aren't just dreams. They're retrieval missions. Your soul is going back in time, collecting the fragmented parts of you that got lost in trauma, in betrayal, in fear. You're becoming whole, not clean, not perfect, whole. And that wholeness doesn't always feel like light. Sometimes it feels like thunder in your chest and static in your bones. Let it move through you. Another thing happens here. Your body starts rejecting certain things. Foods, environments, even clothes. You walk into a room and feel sick. You eat a meal and feel dense. You wear an old outfit and feel like you're in someone else's skin. That's because your frequency is no longer compatible with anything inauthentic. Your DNA is shifting. Your aura is expanding. The things you used to tolerate are now vibrationally repellent. Don't fight it. Don't medicate it away. Learn from it. Your body is now your guide. Are you listening? One of the most painful aspects of this initiation is the sudden end of relationships. People ghost you, or you ghost them. Connections collapse without drama, just dead silence. You look around and realize you've outgrown most of your circle, and it hurts. You want to hold on. But holding on would be like trying to force a phoenix back into ashes. You are not who you were when you met those people, and they are not equipped to meet the version of you that's emerging now. That's not abandonment. That's evolution. So what do you do with all of this? You surrender, but not in weakness, in awareness. You stop demanding that life looks a certain way. You stop chasing closure. You stop explaining your transformation to people who only understand shadows. You become the mystery, and in that silence you start to hear something else, your own true voice, the one that's been buried beneath noise, fear, programming. It's faint at first, but it's pure, and when you speak from that place, reality bends. And that's when you realize your awakening wasn't meant to be witnessed. It was meant to be embodied. It wasn't supposed to be loud. It was meant to be true. You are not here to be liked. You are here to remember. And remembrance is always lonely at first. because you're stepping into a frequency that very few can hold. So let me ask you again, can you hold the weight of your own becoming without anyone clapping for you? The forbidden frequencies, how the darkest triggers unlock your highest codes. There are certain experiences we're trained to avoid, to bury, to pathologize. Moments that seem too dark, too chaotic, too shameful. But what if I told you that it's in those very moments, the ones you've tried to forget, that your deepest activation codes were hidden? That the most advanced frequencies are locked behind the most painful doors, and only those who survive their own hell earn the key to unlock them. The darkest chosen ones don't awaken in spite of their trauma. They awaken through it. You've likely been through a moment that shattered everything. A betrayal so deep it ripped the foundation out from under you. An abandonment that echoed like a death. Or perhaps the slow erosion of self-worth after years of being unseen, misunderstood, even hated for simply being different. And here's the paradox: what broke you also initiated you. That devastation didn't just end something, it triggered something. Something dormant, something powerful, something ancient. The third strange awakening trigger is humiliation. Not the surface-level embarrassment of saying the wrong thing in public, but soul-deep humiliation, the kind that collapses your identity. Maybe you failed in front of people you admired. Maybe you lost everything you built. Maybe you were exposed in a way that felt unbearable. And in that moment, when everything you thought protected you disintegrated, you had two choices: implode into shame or step into radical transparency. The dark chosen ones learn this truth. When you're no longer afraid of being seen at your worst, you become untouchable. Your energy no longer contracts to protect an image. It expands with rawness, and rawness is power. Another forbidden frequency, rage. You were taught to fear it, suppress it, meditate it away. But what if I told you that your rage is sacred? That it doesn't mean you're broken, but that you were born to be a system disruptor. Rage isn't always destructive. Sometimes it's a soul screaming enough. It's the energy of boundaries finally breaking through silence. It's the roar of self-respect where there used to be self-abandonment. The darkest chosen ones know when rage is alchemized, not dumped, not denied, but channeled, it becomes clarity. It becomes courage. It becomes a fire that purifies, not burns. Here's another strange trigger no one talks about: the desire to disappear. I don't mean just physically. I mean the craving to be no one, to drop all masks, to unplug from the world entirely, to stop being seen so you can finally see yourself. This urge is not weakness, it's not giving up. It's the soul whispering, retreat now or you'll forget who you are. Every dark chosen one has experienced this. The impulse to vanish, to become still, to sink beneath the surface and recalibrate. Don't resist it. When you disappear consciously, you return with codes the world has never seen. Then there's shame. Oh, the shame. Not the public kind, but the quiet shame, the shame of feeling too intense, too strange, too emotional, too spiritual, too much. You don't fit. You never did. And maybe you tried to fix that. You dimmed. You morphed. You betrayed yourself. But eventually the mask couldn't hold. And the pain of faking became worse than the pain of being seen as you really are. That moment, that's the trigger. That's the start. You realize your shame was never your own. It was absorbed, imprinted, projected. And when you drop it, when you say, "This is who I am, take it or leave it," you activate something that sends shockwaves into your field. The matrix trembles when someone steps out of shame and into truth. So I ask you this: which emotion have you been taught to fear the most, and what if that emotion was actually your guide? These forbidden frequencies, rage, humiliation, shame, emptiness, aren't flaws in the system. They are the system. They are the spiritual boot camp designed to crack you open, to make you choose consciousness over collapse, embodiment over escape. They are filters separating those who are merely curious from those who are called. The final trigger, when the darkness itself starts speaking to you. There comes a point on the dark, chosen one's path when something unspeakable happens. You've faced betrayal, loss, shame, rage. You've walked alone in rooms full of people. You've been misunderstood by everyone who once claimed to love you. You've questioned your own sanity more times than you can count. But then, something shifts. Something changes, not outside of you, but within. And it's not light that greets you. It's not hope. It's darkness. A conscious, intelligent darkness. And it begins to speak not with words, but with energy, with presence, with symbols, with timing. And you understand, finally, that you were never walking through darkness. You were being trained by it. This is the seventh and most forbidden trigger of awakening, communion with the dark itself. Not evil, not corruption, but the primordial dark, the womb of creation, the mystery before the light, the void where nothingness whispers truth. It doesn't come to flatter you. It doesn't come to make you feel special. It comes to strip away the final illusions. The illusion that you're a victim. The illusion that your power lies in approval. The illusion that awakening is supposed to feel good. The darkness arrives to finish what the light could never do, make you whole. We've been told for centuries to fear this place. Religions painted it as hell. Culture labeled it depression. Psychology called it pathology. But those were names given by the uninitiated. Because here's what actually happens when the darkness speaks. Your soul sits still for the first time. You stop fighting. You stop fixing. You stop trying to be seen. You realize you are. Fully, rawly, eternally, you are not the light. You are not the dark. You are the witness. And from that awareness, everything begins. When this stage unfolds, time warps. You might wake up in the middle of the night, not knowing what day it is. You might feel like an old memory is happening in real time. You might see symbols repeating, black feathers, clocks at 3:33, mirrors cracking, animals appearing. This is not paranoia. This is pattern recognition at the soul level. The darkness is speaking. Are you listening? It will test you. Make no mistake. Not with monsters, not with screams, but with stillness. It will place you in rooms where nothing happens for days. It will remove all distractions. No validation, no progress, no comfort. Why? Because in silence your true frequency is revealed. Who are you without your story? Who are you when no one is watching? Can you love yourself when nothing is working? And just when you think you're about to break, something else rises. A power you've never felt before. Not loud, not flashy, but unshakable, unbothered, rooted. This is the power of someone who no longer needs to chase anything. Not love, not status, not even healing. Because you understand the game now, you are not here to escape darkness. You are here to own it, to carry it, to walk with it like a sacred companion. And suddenly the fear evaporates. Because you realize the dark never wanted to destroy you. It only wanted to show you who you are. This is why chosen ones are rare, not because they have more power, but because they are willing to descend, willing to lose, willing to listen to what the world says is unworthy of being heard. They walk into the cave not to escape, but to remember. And inside that cave, they find their own voice, a voice that doesn't scream, A voice that doesn't beg. A voice that simply says, I remember now. And here's the paradox: the moment you accept the darkness, the light changes too. It no longer blinds you, it reveals you. You no longer seek ascension, you become integration. You no longer chase signs, you become the oracle. Your awakening doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need a name. It becomes the way you sit, the way you breathe, the way you walk into rooms and shift the energy just by existing. Now let me ask you a final question. If you knew for a fact that no one would ever understand your path, would you still walk it? Because if the answer is yes, then you are not just awakening. You have awakened. The dark has trained you. The light will now respond to you. And your very existence becomes a portal for others to remember what they buried. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to be fixed. You are here to be whole. And sometimes the wholeness will feel unbearable. But that's because you're no longer filtering yourself for survival. You're living as you, all of you. And that is the ultimate threat to the illusion. Not your perfection, your presence. So when you feel strange, when you feel heavy, when you feel too much, remember you are not broken. You are not cursed. You are not alone. You are just in training. You are being rewired. You are remembering a frequency the world forgot. And every one of these strange triggers, every betrayal, rage, silence, humiliation, breakdown, they weren't punishments. They were codes. They were codes. And now you've unlocked them. So take a breath, sit tall, and listen. The darkness is not behind you. It's not beneath you. It is within you. And now it moves with you.